Joy's Way by Dr. Brugh Joy. Subtitle, A Map for the Transformational Journey. And this is the introduction. And it's entitled, Approaching the Transformational Process. On the 1st of January 1974, at the age of 34, I was a highly successful and respected Los Angeles physician, an internist specializing in lung and heart diseases. By that autumn, in response to an inner voice, I had left the practice of orthodox medicine and in search of understanding was traveling the world on an itinerary that included the Findhorn community in Scotland, the Great Pyramid in Egypt, and treks in India and Nepal. Since September 1975, at a ranch in a remote part of the upper Mojave Desert in California, I have been conducting conferences on what I call the transformational process. More than 500 people have now had this training, and thousands have heard me speak about it in lectures and symposia all over the country. In the process, the conference experience has become clear enough in my mind for me to write about it, and I trust make it still clearer. I write at this time because I'm at a turning point in my life. While conferences continue to be important to me, I sense that I'm about to go through a major transformation, the latest in a long series of them. In a quite literal, though not physical sense, I am dying. And in the literal sense, I am being reborn. I am leaving my present life and going into a new phase. This book, therefore, marks an end and a new beginning, being about the transformational process. It is a sort of cosmology. It is a partial autobiography insofar as my personal transformations have contributed to the development of the subject, and it is to some extent a do-it-yourself or a how-to book. All my transformations have been my own choice. I have not lost but gained in changing from the very orthodox, very respectable young physician to the human being now on the verge of giving up his present life. And I wouldn't have it any other way. You are welcome to come along on the journey as far as you wish and are able. The transformations, the ones I've had and the ones you can have, are what this book is about. The material is fascinating, terrifying to some people, and quite realistically, not without danger. In reading the book and coming along on the journey, you become a counterpart of the more than 500 people who've already worked with me in conferences at Ski High Ranch. For a moment now, let's look back at that young physician in 1974. His academic background and training were of the best. After undergraduate work completed in 1960 and medical school 1964, both at the University of Southern California, he went to Johns Hopkins Hospital for his first-year internship and his first year of residency in internal medicine, 1964 to 66, and to the Mayo Clinic for 2 more years of residency in internal medicine, 1966 to 68. As an undergraduate, he had been elected Phi Beta Kappa, the Undergraduate Academic Honor Society. As a medical student, he'd been elected Alpha Omega Alpha, the Medical School Academic Honor Society, and as a practicing physician, he was a fellow of the American College of Physicians and the American College of Chest Physicians. He had been commended by the Admiral of the 11th Naval District for his services at Balboa Naval Hospital in San Diego, California, 1968 to 70, and from 1970 to 1974 was on the staff of the Hospital of the Good Samaritan in Los Angeles and was an assistant clinical professor of medicine at the University of Southern California. He had a large, prosperous, and growing practice. All in all, he had what most physicians of his age dream of. What could ever move such a physician to drop it all and to venture into an unorthodox and tainted perhaps downright scandalous, area of spiritual and psychic healing. What sent him traveling through Europe, Egypt, India, and Nepal for a period of 9 months, and what prompted him to return to the California desert to open a center for people to gather to unfold and share his new ideas? And you are entitled to wonder, who are the people who have come to these conferences on the transformational process? A sampling of the first 500 would include psychologists, psychiatrists, physicians, nurses, lawyers, accountants, chiropractors, psychics, yoga teachers, business executives, television personalities, housewives, jewelers, marriage and family counselors, social workers, artists, writers, dropouts, drug dealers, prostitutes, and ministers of every major faith. In this diverse group of people, the transformational process brought about deep and fundamental changes in each person's perception of reality and in his or her ability to touch, feel, and experience what can only be described as natural, expanded states of consciousness. In this book, I will attempt to express in a collage of words the experiences, both internal and objective, that have transformed my life. The many ideas and techniques will be presented in sequence similar to that of a conference. We will initially develop basic ideas and then move into greater elaboration and application. The concepts and techniques are not in historical order in which they occurred to me, but rather in the functional order that I have found most successful in presenting them. I have included the personal autobiographical material merely to illuminate the principles, to show how they developed, not where or when they fit into the rest of my life. Because events in my reality, in real reality, happen in their own time, their own sequence, their own cause and effect, if any, I am giving this book its head, allowing its structure to unfold as it wishes to unfold. What matters is not the linear, sequential ordering of the incidents that have taken part in the transformation, but the new experiential dimensions that come about, where the supposedly solid human body turns out to be an intricate interweaving of energy fields, where disease is not an entity but rather a fixated warp of energy interactions, where the experience of unconditional love transcends the limitations of personal love, where mortality itself dies and becomes immortality, and where I accept the divine nature of all life forms, simultaneously physical and non-physical, structured and non-structured, existing and not existing, in any particular form at any given moment. Only the rational portion of my consciousness demands sequential information. The non-rational portions find such organization tedious, slow motion, superfluous, perhaps even counterproductive to higher levels of comprehension. Therefore, each chapter has its essential information to transmit that may or may not be related to the immediately preceding or immediately succeeding chapter. Even paragraphs within a chapter may not be directly related to their neighbors. They are to be just glimpses, and it is only after many such glimpses that the diversity of my work and the whole extent of the exploration can be grasped, even perhaps especially by me. Please bear with me. Enjoy the desultory play of concepts. It is only the outer mind that conceives and perceives sequentially. Our essence needs neither time nor sequence, so relax and allow me to unrain the myriad ideas and discoveries I have to share with you. I will also not give here a detailed description of who or what I am. As the book develops, more of my nature will become apparent. To try to present myself in 1 or 2 paragraphs, or even in a chapter or 2, would be ludicrous. No human being can be so described, despite our conditioned beliefs to the contrary. Like you, I am a personal collective, which of the many trained and untrained personifications of our makeup is displayed in any given moment depends entirely upon the circumstances of that moment. Let me share many moments, show many sides of myself, and something in your awareness will synthesize this information into your own unique perspective of me in this book, just as you would do in ordinary life. Who or what I am makes no real difference, so long as the insights I give strike some resonating chords in you. It is not your awareness of me that I intend to influence, but your perception of reality. You will find me equally vague, perhaps irritatingly so, in some of my vocabulary. There is, however, good reason for this vagueness. Part of the transformational process involves going from the left brain, where words are thought to be understood, to the right brain, where they are not. To talk or write about phenomena that are beyond the left brain, words are, unfortunately, all we have, and they can only approximate these matters from outside their realm. For just one example, I offer the word beingness. It looks a lot like the word being, and in fact, it means everything that being means and more. Where your being is largely restricted to the everyday reality, your beingness is you on all levels of reality. Among the other odd words and phrases you'll find here are impress and form nature, because they too are beyond the left brain. These words are really undefinable. If, as you read this book, you pay attention to these words and just let them come to you, you will find eventually you will understand them and you'll know what they mean, and you'll still be unable to define them because they so closely resemble ordinary words in our regular left-brained vocabulary. I am going to try to indicate them the first time each word or phrase appears with italics, and in some cases I'll give you some specific hints about meanings. I expect to mention a number of people in the course of my text. About some of them, but not all, I will add identifying or explanatory remarks. You'll probably recognize a few of the names, but some will be unknown to you. Most of them have published, some in readily accessible books and periodicals. Others are available only in specialized bookstores, while still others have published their work only in journals. A few have not been published at all. All these people are on the frontier of a new consciousness. And consciousness is one of those words that mean more here than they do in the ordinary world of the outer mind, and so are worthy of your attention. And I offer a special note on reports and publications in general. The ones I cite are usually given only as corroboration of my point. They run parallel to what I say, and they certainly do not contradict it, but I do not claim that they prove my statements. The further along I go, the less I think it's possible to prove anything. As an orthodox practitioner of medicine, I was confident of the godly attributes of science, secure in my ability to follow behavior patterns, currently accepted as normal, and dedicated to the belief that billions of men and women and children are innocent victims of diseases that only science and the intellect can combat effectively. Now, as an awestruck, deeply moved individual, I see hard, objective in quotes, reality as an ambiguous realm filled with the miraculous and unlimited in potential, in which science is only one type of scaffolding, one of many structural frameworks the human mind has conceived in order to try to understand the phenomena of life. Science is only one of the scaffoldings. There are others, equally detailed, that serve as similar aids to understanding the various frameworks found in religion, metaphysics, psychiatry, psychology, philosophy, law, politics, economics, and so on. Each tries to organize reality into coherent patterns of hypotheses called theories, creeds, dogmas, laws, and beliefs. In truth, all are merely ideas about life, and all fail to stress their basically hypothetical nature. The release out of the hypothetical foundations on which all systems of belief rest is the crux of the transformational process. We start out entrapped in hypotheses that we believe to be absolute truths. Then, in our transformation, we see that they are only temporary structures capable of teaching only relative truths, and for that matter, that the relative truths are only in the context of their organizing ideation. The transformation opens vistas of human awareness that cannot be comprehended from any one particular perspective. Transformation enlarges the context of reality. The awareness is lifted up into states of consciousness where the multidimensional nature of existence is perceived, not just conceived, where it is experienced, not just imagined, where each dogma and each absolute truth is seen as but a single facet of a superconsciousness whole called beingness. Over superconsciousness whole, W-H-O-L-E, called beingness, with a capital B. In the totality of beingness, there is no absolute anything, no rights or wrongs, no higher or lower aspects, only the infinite intersection of forces, subtle and gross, that have meaning only in relationship to one another. Absolutes are concoctions of our rational minds. Reality must never be confused with the concoctions. The transformational process, the release from fixed beliefs, allows the fragmented awareness to meld into universality. In this book, you will find much discussion of body energy and energy fields. As you may already suspect, body energy has nothing to do with the food you eat, and energy fields do not involve the kinds of energy that drive motor cars, household appliances, and diesel engines. There is some relationship to light, magnetism, and electricity, but the relationship is not of any conventional scientific kind. Our deepest energies are not located in the head or the body, where most people think they are. From my own rather extensive experience with them, and from corroboration by others, including the more than 500 participants in my conferences, I am certain that our energy fields not only interpenetrate the entire physical body, but also extend for some distance around it. The chakras are the centers for these energies, both inside the body and immediately outside of it. Known for many thousands of years in the Eastern philosophy, the chakras are considered mysteries in the West, and perhaps as a part of their mystery, they still do not appear in many current, standard American dictionaries. They form a nebulous energy complex composed of major and minor centers whose activity emanates from specific areas of the physical body. The chakra system is inextricably associated with the form and function of the physical and less physical bodies and with the various states of awareness. Tapping these energies, going into the deep, latent energies from the ordinary, objective, workaday world, is a radical departure from what is, for most of us, usually normal. Tapping these energies is fire, and the consequences are serious and can be dangerous. Those individuals who have not worked through ego trips or power trips in relationship to other human beings and those individuals who cannot allow sweeping changes to occur in their lives as a consequence of coming into contact with the information about the transformational process, should not attempt the techniques described in this book. Every soul is responsible for its own experience. Part of maturation is the ability to draw the honesty cards about oneself to the forefront of one's awareness in order to decide upon a course of action and the timing of that action. The consequences of immature judgment, of toying with the chakra system, can be psychosis, aggravation of neuroses, acceleration of disease processes, and suicide. But the awakening into certain states of consciousness can bestow gifts of such value that they are beyond price. Gifts such as the mastery of any or all of the psi phenomena, psi phenomena, healing powers not yet recognized by conventional Western science, and deep serenity and knowledge of life. That the chakra system exists is beyond doubt, as I shall demonstrate in the contents of this book. But no one, not one person, knows what it actually is or all of its aspects, and no one has ever known, despite attempts over thousands of years to master this knowledge. My tentative belief is that the chakra system is an interdimensional transducing system, capable of being directed by thought and capable of converting matter into various forms of energy, and vice versa, transcending the constraints of time and space. As the rainbow is produced by the refraction of light through a prismatic structure of countless water particles, so too the frequencies that compose ordinary light are splayed. So too the chakra system seems to splay out different aspects of some primary energy configuration through the body. This analogy is heightened by the way that some clairvoyants perceive these force centers and their emanations as constantly changing colored lights, like the light seen streaming through stained glass windows. My stepping stones into this rainbow are the events that led to my current understanding of the chakra system and to the levels of awareness associated with these forces. This book isn't intended to please. It is intended to tilt you from the limited possibilities for experiences that you have, no matter how wide open you may think you are, to a set of possibilities that is truly without limits. This book is offered to those who are ready to begin the awakening process, who know at the deepest level of their awareness that they are ready for change from unfulfilling, culturally conditioned life patterns into states of consciousness that commit them to a path of self-realization, and who are beginning to become aware that their ultimate limitations are nothing but the restrictions set up by their own minds. I did not want to write this book, nor do I especially enjoy sitting down to compose it. Words are not the same when written as when spoken. An expression of the face or a simple gesture of the hands, combined with careful modulation of the voice, can accomplish in seconds what may take hours to get across in written words. How did I ever happen to select an incarnation where the verbal form of communication is so predominant? Why not a time when telepathic communications transmit instantly what we are as humans in our present time, must belabor and imperfectly reproduced through language? I would much rather be exploring the world or a group of people meditating or teaching than to be writing a book. Why then am I doing it? I am writing the book because of a recent dream I had, and because of an inner voice that won't let me take my usual afternoon nap. The dream, at least the part that I remember, was the signing of my own medical chart. As I was reviewing it to write a summary, I noticed that the chart was not organized. Laboratory slips were out of place, and the normal order of the chart was markedly disturbed. I reordered the chart and then signed it. The signature required was peculiar because my name was given as Joy, William Brugh, MD, instead of William Brugh Joy, MD. It reminded me of signing a death certificate. Over to the right of my name was an asterisk and the words, "See box above." And the box above commanded, "Please hurry," in capital letters and red pencil, no less. The interpretation of this dream was obvious to me. All the material of the transformational process has come to me through meditation, through dreams, or through inspired states of consciousness when traveling or working with groups. In group work, the information was shared, developed, and strengthened, and I gained greater insight into it, which with each succeeding conference. But because I work spontaneously, no two conferences were the same, nor was the same emphasis placed on the different aspects. Both as it came to me and as I have presented it in the past, the material was disorganized, like the chart in the dream, and it needed to be clarified and written in some summary form. The dream further represents the rounding out of the death of the initial phase of my work in the transformational process. The urgency to complete the book, "Please hurry," comes from somewhere far within my beingness, because another deeper aspect is to be developed in the near future. It is time for me to die in this aspect of my work and to be reborn into another one. The voice that interrupts my afternoon naps is even more interesting. During conferences, I rise at 4 in the morning, and I often work till 10 or 11 at night. And I find that a nap from 2 to 4 in the afternoon is extremely balancing. Several afternoons ago, as I was about to go to sleep, the entire 11-chapter outline popped into my head, and at the same time I heard a voice that ordered me in no uncertain terms, "Get out of bed and write down the overall organization of the book." I tried to ignore it, but the impulse and impress were relentless, and so I got up and I wrote down the images that I had seen, and then instantly I was able to sleep. Today, as I was about to go to sleep, the book began to take shape. I was in twilight sleep, but simultaneously I was aware that I was dictating the introduction, the material repeating itself over and over again in my mind. I tried to bargain with my consciousness, telling it that I would begin after I had rested. My consciousness would not bargain. It is now 20 minutes later. Unable to fall asleep, I have commenced. It flows easily. As I complete one paragraph, I see or hear the words for the next one. I am ready to allow the completion of this phase of my life. And that concludes the introduction. And chapter 1 is entitled Basic Concepts. The subtle exploration into the obvious is the awakening process. And I do hope you'll come back and that you'll enjoy this book as much as I did. Really, this is one of my very favorite books, and I'm sure there's a depth to it that I didn't understand the first time around. And so I really look forward to reading it. I hope you like these audios, click on like, and I hope you subscribe, and I hope you come back. And till soon.